Part 3: The Pragmatic Lens. The sunshine, even filtered through the grimy window of the subway car, felt less like warmth than a focused beam, etching the hollows of her cheeks. Lena, predictably, had dismissed the Caleb echoes as societal osmosis, phrases absorbed like pollen, drifting on the breeze and adhering to everything. Everything. Clara traced the chipped formica of the seat with a fingertip, the cool plastic a small anchor. It wasn't merely phrases. It was the cadence, the subtle architecture of his speech, the slight upward inflection Caleb used when posing a question, subtly twisting inquiry into gentle accusation. She hadn't registered it then, captivated by the gravitational pull of his quiet charm. Now it felt like a sonic fingerprint pressed onto her awareness. "You're reading too much into it," Lena had said over lukewarm lattes. "Everyone says adulting now. Doesn't mean they all dated a philosophy major." The memory left a grit settled in her throat. Caleb had enjoyed dissecting her sensitivity, calling her a walking emotional barometer. He delighted in predicting her responses, a miniature performance staged for his amusement. Was she perpetually susceptible to being read? Her inner weather broadcast for others? The thought tasted of dust. Now, staring at the woman across from her, draped in a lemon-yellow coat that bordered on defiant optimism, Clara felt that familiar prickle of recognition. The woman's gaze met hers and held it a beat too long, a small knowing smile playing on her lips. Not hostile, not precisely, more observation, as if Clara were an exhibit in a meticulously curated gallery of human behavior. The yellow coat pulsed against the gray of the carriage, a splash of artificial brightness in the subterranean gloom. The city outside blurred past in streaks of gray and ochre, each face a fleeting narrative, each building a silent witness to countless microdramas. "We live inside bubbles of curated experience now," Lena would say, constantly broadcasting and receiving signals. But these weren't simply signals. They felt deliberately aimed. Tiny darts thrown from an unseen board. A flashback surfaced. Caleb teasing her about her Earl Grey tea, specifically with milk. "So very English," he'd murmured, drawing out the syllables with affectionate condescension during a rainy afternoon spent browsing antique bookstores. He'd watched her face for her reaction, a small experiment in social calibration, while simultaneously smoothing his own tie with practiced nonchalance. This morning, at her favorite cafe, the barista had remarked without prompting, "Earl Grey with milk? A classic choice." A classic choice he'd christened "So very English" just for her. It wasn't the tea itself. It was the context, the tone, the echo resonating within the quiet chambers of her memory. She remembered searching online for benefits of Earl Grey last week while trying to combat a persistent headache, a tiny digital offering to the algorithm gods. Clara scribbled another entry in her notebook. Earl Grey barista inflection identical to Caleb. The list was growing exponentially. Adulting? No worries. Even a specific exasperated sigh Caleb used when facing traffic congestion, all surfacing in unexpected places, felt less like coincidence and more like a campaign, a subtle reshaping of her personal landscape. She tightened her grip on her tote bag as if bracing for a subtle shift in gravity. Lena's pragmatism felt increasingly insufficient. comforting but limited by its insistence on simple explanations. Perhaps it wasn't merely societal osmosis after all. Perhaps it was something more insidious. A subtle invasion fueled by constant connectivity and relentless data collection. We leave digital breadcrumbs everywhere we go. Maybe someone was meticulously following them back to her core self? The train lurched to a stop and Clara disembarked onto the bustling platform, swallowed by the current of commuters. A man rushing past bumped into her shoulder and muttered an apology. Just trying to navigate this chaos. It was Caleb's idiom, his go-to phrase for any minor inconvenience, delivered with his signature blend of wry amusement and resignation. His voice echoed not just in sound but in phrasing. She could almost feel him standing beside her, observing with detached amusement. She paused amidst the throng, moving forward with purposeful strides, momentarily frozen as if caught in amber. The air tasted thick with exhaust fumes and unspoken anxieties, a modern static clinging to everything around her. This wasn't just about missing Caleb. It was about losing control of her narrative, of having its contours subtly reshaped by forces she didn't fully understand. She glanced back at the woman in yellow. She was still watching, that small knowing smile widening slightly. The yellow coat seemed brighter now, almost luminous against the grayscale backdrop. A beacon signaling something unseen. Was she being observed, mimicked, or simply categorized? Another data point neatly filed away within some vast algorithmic matrix? And if so, by whom? And to what end? The question hung suspended in the humid air, heavier than exhaust fumes, more pervasive than static electricity. It felt like stepping into a hall of mirrors where every reflection wasn't quite her own.